And we are live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Cardone Corner. It is Monday. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July, a good weekend. I know Gary and I did, right?
I had a nice weekend. Yeah, man. I rested up. What did I do this weekend? It feels like it was like 7 days long. Wednesday was July the 4th, right? No,
Yeah.
Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday? Yeah.
Thursday.
Then Friday, I think I stayed up till 4:30 in the morning, Friday morning, painting. So then I slept till 11 Saturday and held a really awesome space on Saturday, dude. I don't know if you were able to make it. I know you were in Tampa having dinner with people, but we did.
I listened to some of the recording, and so I listened to probably the first hour where you and Hitch were going at it, and then I also hit the end when they started talking about your artwork.
Yeah, no, that was a really good. We're starting to introduce some spaces about, it's around business, but it's more of the head stuff related to business. So I'm really excited about that. Hitch Slap one. I think that's his thing. He's in Australia and he studies a subject every year, dude. I've never met anybody that did this. They literally go in and study a subject for a year. One subject like finance or psychology or the mind or whatever, right? And and so he thinks, and he's an unbelievable moderator, and he won't speak on anything he's not an expert on. So that's really helpful for me because I'm more of a generalist kind of macro guy. And anyway, it was about 3 or 4 hours. Fascinating conversation on this imposter syndrome thing that I've seen in a lot of business activities that certain people I think are prone to it. But anyway, it was really good. So yeah, my weekend was good, but dude, other than Bitcoin puking all over the place, which I think is really, I don't know if you can bring the chart up, but last week we were at 63, 64. It crashed through 57. I picked some up at 58.5. And now we have, past the weekend, low liquidity, no futures contracts being traded, long weekend, right? Long bank holiday. Market's just opening now. And we've seen as low as 52.5, I think. Even this morning, I think, I'm looking at your chart, but even as of this morning, I think it went down to 53.5. If you just go on that little wick right there, just bring your little horizontal line all the way down to that red wick. See that little tiny, there you go. That's 53,495. See, that's a big fall, dude. And we're at 57,000 right now. We're at, what's the price right now? I can't see that.
Price right now is 55,871.
Yeah. So, we've had $4,000 moves in a day, down and up. You got Germany, like there's rumors that Germany's selling Bitcoin, and then there's rumors that Germany's buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin is she's going to be the girl that defies everyone's logical reasoning. It's amazing how many people are.
Yeah, I saw the.
It's amazing how many people are trying to justify why the price is doing what it's doing. And I simply think it's just, hey, just relax, sit on your hands and wait. Like we just have to wait. It's going to be like that perfect date that, hey, pick me up at 8:00 and she's not ready till 8:20, 8:30.
Well, I posted on Twitter because lucky me, Gary, this is why I am not a trader. I was just buying some Bitcoin just at the market price, and I think I bought at 57. And then I checked in later that day, and I was like, why is it negative? I just bought. And I was like, oh, very cool. It's at 54 right now. I'm glad I didn't wait 3 hours for that to happen. Oh, yeah. Just my luck.
Yeah, you're going to be fine, buddy. In the 50s, I have stuff in the look. I sold my house down the street, took a $300,000 discount. So that's 5 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I took a $300,000 discount. So I discounted it 5 BCF, and then I bought with the other 2.3 million. I bought 66.5, and you're bitching about 57. And like I have no, zero worry about it. Like zero worry. The only thing about Bitcoin is that you get to see the price every second if you want. I could never look at my price of that house down the street until the moment I dropped the price, found the liquidity point, and that established what the value of that home was right then and there. So you're comparing something that's illiquid to that has no price to something that reportedly has a price. So anyway, it doesn't bother me, but it's been a really kind of a soft weekend. I'm probably more worried about politics and war than I am Bitcoin. In fact, that is the only thing I'm worried about is politics and war. That is the only thing that can undermine my thesis. This thesis is absolutely spot on. The only thing that undermines the thesis is if we just do something stupid.
Which I'm
expecting any moment now, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that last week on the Twitter Spaces. You said it kind of in the next, 7 days, right? Like this week, we'll figure out what are they going to do with Biden? Are they going to have to do something radical? I don't know if you saw the French elections. I thought that was really interesting. So I don't know if you kept track of that or not. Why
don't you update everybody? I think France is showing you how fucked up Europe is.
Yeah.
And
so
in the UK also going through its political stuff.
Macron called elections, and it was predicted that the right-wing party was going to win. And what ended up happening is actually the left-wing party joined up with some other left-wing coalitions and ended up having the most seats in all of their house. But no one won enough to have a majority. So what's going to happen is either Macron's party, which is centrist, the right-wing party or the left-wing party, there's going to have to be some kind of coalition that's formed if everyone wants to govern. Otherwise, because of Parliament, there won't be any government, and they're going to have to redo the elections. But the interesting thing about the French left-wing winning is these are outright communists. They are self-proclaimed communists. It's imagine if you saw the people who were burning things down during these riots, and then they ran for office and won. Right? That's how radical some of these people are. So France essentially, I think, will not have a government formed anytime soon, and they're just going to have to keep redoing elections until they do. Not a good sign. Not a good sign for the French people, in my opinion.
Then what's happening in the UK?
UK, the Labour Party, I think, ended up winning, right? Getting the majority or enough of a majority to where I think they're going to control the government over there. And so that's not going to be good either. So I'm very fascinated that there's been a swing to the left in England and France as far as who's controlling things. But it's been counterbalanced by the fact that the right wing of both of those countries have also gained in prominence. So things are just getting more and more divergent and getting more and more radical on both sides. And so you're going to have a huge swing left, a huge swing right. And you can't govern like that, especially when you're in a parliamentarian system.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all the government, personally, it wouldn't surprise me if in 8 years we didn't have AI running government. I got in a lot of trouble for that comment from a good friend of mine. He went he just thought it was heresy that I would think that a machine would be a better governor than human beings. I'm like, the more I say it and the more I talk about it, I'm like, bro, let's have this debate because I don't even think it's close. I think human beings are grossly flawed, make bias decisions, usually based on data that's not even factual. And so I just think, wow, what are all the issues that we're bitching about in the world? If you drop down to the core issue, it's human intervention, right? Humans. I mean, I love the value of free markets. The subject though is free markets. You can't intervene with them. And there isn't any markets that aren't intervened. So if you had AI, one, you'd not need massive committees, right? Like, I don't know how the U.S. government thinks it can run the largest organization in the world by committee. This is the largest entity on planet Earth, man. Is an organism, a business, an energy producer, whatever you want to call it. And it runs like a fucking key club in the 6th grade. Everybody gets a vote. We agree on like 8 people out of 100 effectively decide where we're going to go. Maybe not even 8, maybe 2 or 3 out of all the votes. Because my vote gets canceled against the guy that's extremely liberal, right? So all the rights and the lefts get canceled out, and you're left with this middle ground. And middle ground doesn't do well in innovative periods. You need some extreme people, either rights or lefts, making moves, man. Our country needs to be making moves. It does not need to be by committee. When we first formed this country, dude, how many people actually were running the deal? 4, 5, 6, 8? And by the way, how old were they?
In their 30s.
Younger than you, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Alexander Hamilton, George Washington. If you go research how old these people were, and we're requiring people to be over 35 years old to be president, I think this is a mistake, man. And I'm probably the oldest guy on the fucking show right here.
The only thing that scares me about AI, though, is you have to think about, well, who programs the AI?
Who programs the humans, bro?
I know, but think about it. If our government was run by OpenAI,
but you're comparing apples and oranges. We already program all our leaders. They're all programmed with false data.
How do I phrase this? Yes, but AI aren't sentient yet. They just analyze data efficiently, right? There is no creativity to AI. So if you look at like OpenAI, for example,
why do you say there's no creativity? If I have all the facts and I'm not now intermingling,
AI can't create original thought yet. From what I understand, it's all because it's only what data is fed into it. Can humans create original thought? I think some can. I think the majority of humans can't, but I do think some can. Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, you're the artist, right? I mean, do you think some of your art is non-original? I mean, do you think that's a basic question, right? Like, I think if you have a certain part of your brain, there is some original thought there that maybe combines like a bunch of data. And so I don't think AI can do what an artist does yet. It can only replicate, would be my opinion.
Yeah. See, I don't think this was the topic of our conversation today, supposedly, but I do like the conversation. Average Geo says, hey, can AI perform critical thinking? My question is, can humans? See, all I'm trying to debate right now is that you said, hey, look, who's going to program the AI? And my question to you is, who programmed Joe Biden?
Yeah.
He is on a program, just like you are, dude. You're on a program, right, boss?
Yeah.
We all have the programs, okay? And so not knowing what my program is makes me so dangerous because I don't really know what my program is. I don't know if I was a kid that grew up in some caves, if I would have ever known anything that I know today. I mean, who knows how much of me is made up from the stuff I saw as a child? You know, I saw my dad's ticker tape in his stock brokerage account, and then I became a commodity trader. I find that to be very odd, coincidentally odd, okay? Like, wow, that's interesting. Of all the jobs on the planet, Gary becomes a commodity trader, and his dad was a stockbroker. And one of 5 images I remember, one is fishing with my father, and one is that ticker tape. I love to fish. And I became a commodity trader. And if I had to go back to a job tomorrow morning, it would be commodity trading because it doesn't require any I don't need anyone around me, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on the whole AI thing, but I think that in having a discussion the other day, I was like, hey, 8 to 12 years from now, it does not seem impractical to me that we wouldn't try AI as a form of government. For instance, could AI effectively run the town of St. Pete better? Well, if you just look at it on a really small basis, there has to be a point where you're like, oh, wow. I mean, we have a mayor in Clearwater, a mayor in Tampa, and a mayor in St. Pete. Now, I appreciate all those people like that paying job, but if I'm using the same fucking airport, I'd be okay having one mayor personally.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Same airport within.
Are you familiar with the Turing test?
Turing? No, not really.
It's just how you determine whether AI is like sentient or human. And the Turing test is if you put a computer on the other side of a wall and you can't tell whether you're talking to a human or an AI, then the AI is what the Turing would say the AI is sentient. It's considered human enough, right? If you can't tell the difference, which I think we might be there very soon if we're not already.
Oh, I think we're 2030. I think 2030, we're totally saturated with AI. Like real AI, where 2030, I may not be allowed to drive. I actually thought about maybe I shouldn't buy this car because I don't think I'm going to be allowed to drive a car at some point. At some point, we will not be allowed to drive the car, right? At some point, we're going to have to get comfortable with the airplane is going to be driven by a machine, not humans.
Do you ever hear the people who talk about how Bitcoin and AI are going to have a really good relationship with each other?
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Grossly misunderstood this relationship, I think.
We should do not today, but maybe that's another video we got to do for the audience.
Yeah. Well, is anybody worried about Bitcoin? That would be my question to the audience. I am not. If anything, I'm probably trying to figure out how can I get more of this. Again, my rule is in August, we're in July. At the end of July, I have more Bitcoin at the end of July 2024 than I did when I started it, right? I don't care what the price is. What I care about is that I have more Bitcoin. In August, I will deploy that same rule. Do I have more Bitcoin? This is why I don't believe in using Bitcoin to buy potato chips. I need more Bitcoin. And the more I do this, man, like I had lunch with a lady that Simon Dixon introduced me to. He's off on outside the UK, and it's amazing through these spaces, man. He and I are chatting. He brings up a lady to the panel, and she and I start having this intellectual interaction, which was really, really good. And hey, I'm in your neighborhood, man. You know, she's down here. She lives in El Salvador. Really bright. I mean, there's so many bright people in this industry. Like anytime I worry about the price, all I do is I have a lunch with a lady like that. And one of the smartest people I've met in maybe a year. I'd say top 10 smartest players I've met in a year. And I look at her career and go, oh my God, man, you have 20 years of unbelievable wealth. Like to be able to learn at this level right now, you're going to walk away with a encyclopedia of knowledge on the future of the world. And like, it's just so clear to me, we're all underestimating this. She told me stories because she's been around and got really, really deep into the purist, the early adopters. And at a government level, she's been helping El Salvador. Anyway, just absolutely amazing to me. Some of the stories showing that how poorly understood Bitcoin has been, even by the insiders, for the last 15 years. And that's representative of the stories of losses, bankruptcies, losses, mistakes. I mean, people losing 1,000 Bitcoin, dude. people losing 1,000 Bitcoin in a bankruptcy and still having a shitload of money, right? Being able to pivot. So it's just the amount of war stories. I can't wait for the day where the first 15 years of Bitcoin is really out in the market. All the stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's a lot of ugly stories, but most markets are developed like that, in my opinion. I just think it's fascinating. The first 15 years of this industry are literally being put into the history books now. I think it's going to, like, we're entering another chapter of Bitcoin. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. And I think this is going to be the base, 57, 52. This is the new era of, this is when 2024, the $50,000 era, and Bitcoin completely changed, matured, went from being a 13 or 14-year-old child to a 15-year-old who has been punching well above its weight for 5 or 6 years and has yet to get clocked. It has been in the ring with every major fighter, dude, well above his weight class, and he has yet to get knocked out. Now, if that was a fighter, okay, a 15-year-old fighter, you'd be like, hey, I'm going to sponsor this kid, dude. I'm going to at least put $2,500 or $25,000 behind this guy because I think he's going to be one of the great, heavyweight fighters of the planet. He's just 15. To me, if you look at Bitcoin in that term and go, wow, this is an organism or a concept or a product that now has 15 years. It's been invited to every major banking country club, okay, in the world, dude. It can get into industries and institutions I could never get into. So, like, why wouldn't you, if that was a fighter, why wouldn't you, or a football player on a high school team? You're telling me you wouldn't like, oh, I get to buy into this? Right? I mean, is it a decent analogy for somebody? Because you're not looking at this as pure math and economics. Is that analogy for you when you're like, oh, I bought 57.5? Yeah, dude, you bought 57.5, fucking monster fighter. And by the way, this fighter is never going to get old. Dude, his muscles are only going to get better. He becomes more anti-fragile by the day.
How important is it to you, the human factor? So you're talking to this lady and she's obviously very intelligent. When you're like doing market research, I know this is one of those kind of more subjective factors, but like, do you meet people like her and go, okay, she's still in the space, she's really bullish on Bitcoin, so, forget the price. But like, also, if you respected someone like her, if she one day comes to you and is like, hey, Gary, actually, I think it's time to get out. Like, how do you kind of measure the human factor when you're looking at markets like this?
Well, I think like with her, what it left me with, I wasn't really interested in the price of Bitcoin with her. It was more of we're like, it validated how early we are here, right? Like early in every way. She and I talked about like how bad the marketing is, right? And how, like so many of the tools need to be built. So when I see someone like that, what I see is, oh wow, here we go again. Another very intellectually rich human being who could be in any, like, if I introduced her to my partners over there at the other company, they'd hire her in 12 minutes, dude. She can move around, right? She's done transformational change for large companies. So she understands the process. I made a comment to her. I said, oh yeah, you're like me. You figured out there's only four consulting firms in the world, and they all use the same playbook. And they just move from industry to industry. She starts laughing. She said, oh, totally. So she's probably 35, 36, well-traveled, well-connected, articulate. I just look at her and go, shit, I'd invest in her. I would invest her in as a human being. I'm going to introduce her to Node 40. I just see so many, because I'm looking at her in El Salvador. I'm like, what are you doing down there, dude? See, for me, I was in a meeting about 3 months ago with a guy from Ernst & Young, and I said, and their opportunity in the United States on digital is stupid. Okay? It's stupid how big it is. The opportunity to service this industry, and that was my messaging to EY and KPMG and PwC and Deloitte. But I looked at her and I asked her the question. I said, hey, how are these guys going to, like, do you think the legacy players can move into this industry well? And she has the same viewpoint that I do. It's just very, very difficult, right? It's very difficult for legacy to focus. And to my point, I looked at her and I said, you know, I was with EY one day and I said, hey, what's the opportunity overseas in London with EY and Europe? And he just looked at me deadpan faced. I mean, he was like, he said, why bother, dude? There's
really
78 projects we have in the United States and we can't get to one of them. Like he was like, hey, we're so overwhelmed with opportunity here. Don't know why anybody would not focus here. Now, I know El Salvador is a little pet project, but like there's so much going on right here, dude, that we need to solve. I mean, literally, it's 20 years of career here. And if you do this career correctly, you will be able to go anywhere you want in the world. Anywhere in the world and any industry. This is going to touch every bloody industry. So, see, Lucas knows, bullish on new talent. Anytime you see this much intellectual capital coming into an industry, dude, I know one thing. It's going to be a huge industry. I just don't know what it's going to mutate into. I guarantee you I'll be wrong. But it will be a monster business because you're putting love into it. You're fueling it with intellectual stimulation. She asked me, she said, hey, what are you most interested in at this stage? What I'm like, just tell me who to stay away from. Keep me away from the bad guys, okay? And this is when you want to make sure you're not getting in bed with anyone bad here. You want to keep your nose clean. This is just it's so much bigger than Roger Ver or maybe Satoshi even considered. This is so big. And it's happening on the media side too. And the media side has nothing to do with money. I'd really encourage people to look at it. Decentralized media is taking place without a blockchain. It's taking place without people talking about Solana or Ethereum or Bitcoin. And it's still happening. Okay. I mean, I don't know anybody that's watching CNN. In fact, there isn't anyone watching CNN anymore. They have a viewing audience a day of 700,000 people.
Isn't that crazy?
It's ridiculous, dude. Trump had 600 million people watch him go to jail. And he paid $20 for that. So this is like, to me, this is so cool. And it's all like, okay, wow, you got decentralized. Decentralization is working through media, but it's quasi-decentralization, just like Bitcoin mostly is going to be quasi-decentralized, which is a totally different topic. But what do we got? We got any cool comments here?
Well, we have a bunch, actually. We have Fiboswami's with us. He was doing some comments.
Fib, my man, good to see you, buddy.
When I was asking, and he actually brought up a topic that we discussed earlier when I was asking about how you measure people, he said you don't. Each person's risk management and tolerance is different, right? When talking about measuring Bitcoin, you meet really intellectual people. The more people, this is from Lucas Hosford, the more people invest in her going forward, the more the value of the early investors' holdings are. Are people kind of like companies, you think, where the early investors who get on the ground floor reap the most reward from a relationship? Do you think that's true?
Say that last part again about they reap the most reward?
Sure, yeah. Like, do you think if you invest early on a person and invest can mean a variety of things. Do you think that means because you're early, you reap the most reward from that investment?
In a person or in
A
anything?
person? In a person.
No, I don't think you reap the most of the reward. I think the guy that teaches and invests in the intellectual capital probably receives the least return over time, right? Because your value will go up with the more experience you have. I mean, some people, if they get on the right platform, they should have paid to be on the platform, quite frankly, to get known. But no, I think that it's different in terms of people. Now, I think that I will make a better return than on Bitcoin. I wasn't early, but I think I'll make a bigger return on Bitcoin starting in 2020 than most of the people who've been here for 15 years. Most, the operative word is most, not all of them, not a few of them. A few of them clocked me because they were able to go in at 30. However, I am able to deploy a lot more money at $57,000 than I would have ever deployed at 300. I would have never deployed 85% of my net worth, liquid net worth, into Bitcoin at $300. It's not even close to being possible. I would have owned the market. So that it's just different, man. For instance, I think the old Bitcoiners are going to have less Bitcoin because they're going to move into real estate. This is one of the things Sharon and I talked about. Hey, look, I'd like to really help some monster players who are extremely consolidated on Bitcoin to move into real estate in a very smart way. Because I think Bitcoiners move into real estate and real estate moves into Bitcoin, big real estate. And there's a reason for that. And her response was, oh, yeah, people are already doing it. Well, you're not doing it correctly. Okay, because unlike Bitcoin, where everyone gets the same price, 57 grand, you don't know that Chicago, this primo property of 800 units in Chicago, is getting ready to go bankrupt. Yeah. Okay? You're not getting that phone call. My brother's getting the phone call. Okay. BlackRock's getting the phone call. So what you need to do, I'm talking about using Bitcoin to find the most premier fucking potato chips on the planet that you never eat, that these potato chips produce money. And so I could see Bitcoiners going in that don't have cash. Let's say you got 10,000 Bitcoin. You take 2,000 of them, give them to a bank, dude. You then get 2,000 times 4. So put 8,000 Bitcoin to work to go buy something at 25 cents on the dollar on a Friday night when Monday morning they're going to open up and they're going to have to puke it out at 100 million. You freaking, hey, here's $110 million worth of Bitcoin Friday night right before the closure. It's beautiful with Bitcoin. Bitcoin should never be used to buy potato chips. Ever. I will fight every purist on this till the end of time. It is a mortal sin if you're a Bitcoiner to use Bitcoin to buy potato chips, unless you get a super discount. 20%. I think 20% to cash is the right thing. So if a property is being sold for $100 million and it doesn't close, right, on a Friday night, what's it worth Saturday morning if the guy's got to sell it? Well, I can transact on Saturday, dude. I'm a Bitcoin guy. How about here's $101 million right now? Whack, dude. You make 18% overnight. Being able to use Bitcoin is the ultimate liquidity mop, right? It mops up every problem you can imagine on a Saturday or Sunday. So it will get there. And I think this is extremely cool because imagine being able to take $100 million worth of Bitcoin, buying $400 million worth of real estate with it. Okay. It makes 6% yield. You then take the 6% yield, which is effectively mining money. You mine that money and then you buy Bitcoin with it. The most effective Bitcoin miners on planet Earth will be using legacy assets that generate fiat crap and that fiat crop buys Bitcoin. You convert it into Bitcoin. Best mining on the planet. It will still be the best miner on the planet in 2 or 3 years. That's the other discussion we had also. It's like, man, mining's a tough business, dude. When you can buy something for 57 grand, like, why would you worry about capital costs, location, long-term PPA contracts on both ends, supply and demand? Got to have people, environmental checks, lawyers, accountants. I can just buy Bitcoin at 57.5. Jeez.
Is there another asset class or industry that you can kind of trade out real estate for as a Bitcoiner? Is it pretty much, you think that's like the perfect relationship?
I think that is a really good relationship.
Like, are there any alternatives if you don't like real estate?
I'm talking about real estate that you buy for 30 cents on the dollar now. Let's make sure you don't leave that part out, okay?
Yeah.
So, because I think Bitcoin is, if you don't have any Bitcoin, this strategy is not for you. Okay. Like, if I had no real estate right now, I'd be like, Gary, load up on fucking Bitcoin. I need some more Bitcoin. If I could sell the real estate I have with Grant, I would buy, that's probably $10 million or so. I would buy every drop of that with Bitcoin. I think it's premier real estate. Now, the analogy I'm using, I have 10,000 Bitcoin, 1,000 Bitcoin, and I own them at $300, $400, $500, $600 to $6,000, $8,000. I don't want to sell them.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go to the bank. I've got a shitload of it at a really cheap basis. So I can go to the bank and go, hey, man, I want some money. I then take that cash, borrow the cash. Why would anyone sell their Bitcoin? They're going to pay taxes on it. You don't want to do that. You want to borrow the cash at 6, get a distribution at 6 or 7 or 8, hopefully 8, while you're sitting there and letting the property values inflate if you buy them correctly. But there will cash flow. I mean, look, this is about a super diversification play, in my opinion. Now, if you can buy natural gas or electricity at a 70% discount, cool, go do it. I don't think that's going to happen, though. But in the real estate market right now, with all the commercial pressure, the interest rate pressure, the housing pressure, just seems to me like a really good strategy if you use Bitcoin correctly, which is I'm the last bid when you guys fail. I'm looking for premier real estate property that is literally getting, flushed because the bank has a bunch of problems. See, people forget the bank that's holding all that debt, let's say that it's full of mortgages, apartment buildings. They're worried about all of them. Okay. It's a whole bucket. If they have this many of them start to default, guess who they're going to call? They're going to call these guys, man. These guys are defaulting. Okay. They're the problem. Who do they go to? Let's go get cash from all the guys that have the cash. And so the whole fund has to get resold, right? Because what are you going to sell? You're going to sell this crap here at the bottom, or are you going to sell this? You have to just get rid of, the toxic problem sitting in that bucket, which is refinance it, which means, hey, let's start selling some properties. Guess which properties sell first? The ones that don't need to be sold, man. The best ones.
I don't know when it'll be, if it'll be by the end of this year or if it'll be next year. I don't know if it depends on the election, but everywhere I look, there's got to be some sort of housing crash, it looks like. It seems like it's going to be very localized, but let's just say, for example, okay, Gary, it is Q3, Q4, and there's a huge market collapse in the housing market. Do you change some of your risk management strategy and go, oh, now's a great time to buy real estate for cheap? And you reprioritize just gathering Bitcoin? Like, would you look at that differently?
What do you call the housing market?
So I would base it off of what we're discussing you would buy into, which would be rentals. Anything like multifamily or
multifamily
apartment buildings.
Not homes.
Not homes.
So and homes could get destroyed in price, and they could go. I think they're getting ready to go up personally. multi-dwelling, I'm not sure there's going to be a crash in multi-dwelling. 72% of the people in the United States own a home. Okay, they shouldn't. I think it should be more like 23% own a home, and everybody else rents. Like, I'm probably the only guy on this phone call between you and me that should ever own a home. And I don't think it's a good investment. Like, I think it's a really, really, really bad investment. So I'm really saying that I'm the only one qualified to own a home, but I shouldn't. I should rent it if I could. If the rental market had as much variety as the sale market, I think you would see a big rental market. So, like, for instance, let's say your parents are at the edge of their retirement. You know, they're just starting retirement and they own a home. They had a home, 6,000 square feet. They're now 78 years old. Do they need a 6,000 square foot home? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
Well, but they have a 3% mortgage, 30-year 3% mortgage. Those people should never sell their house, dude. So people can really grossly misunderstand what I'm saying. Your parents shouldn't sell the house. What they should do, though, is they should rent it. Okay? They should put it in an LLC, rent it out for, if they've got a 2% or 3% note, they probably bought it 20, 30 years ago, and they'll make money, dude. They'll make 12 grand, 8 grand a month, right?
Yeah.
And then they downscale and they go somewhere else. Maybe they go into a condo or whatever. There's tons of those kind of opportunities, though, for older people. The other thing, and I thought this was a good idea that Grant came up with, was, hey, anybody over 65 years old, why don't you allow them to sell their house or rent their home free of any tax income? Why are you fucking with these people? Right? So they're already going in Social Security and all that. Why wouldn't you just free them up from the taxation? And right now,
you're talking about if I wanted to rent my home to someone who is on Social Security.
No,
can you?
No, I'm
not
saying
sure
that if you are 65, let's say, and you own a home right now, you're not incentivized to sell that home, and you're not incentivized to rent it because you pay taxes. Why is anybody going to sell their home? Let them sell their home, dude. Tax free. Okay, let the 65-year-old go, hey, you know what, Mr. Sales Commission agent, like, if it's 65 years old, dude, just like they go in the movies cheaper, you can't charge them 6%. Now maybe that wouldn't work, but even the rental market, hey, they don't pay capital gains or interest income on rental income. There's just so many things we could do to be more clever. Instead of tagging somebody at 66 dying, they're starting their life. I mean, most people surrendered the first 50 years of their life to enjoy the 60, and then they realize they don't have any money or they're unhealthy. That's another thing that needs to change. People need to enjoy their life every day they're living. Okay, and that means you don't go do stuff that you hate doing. So we're all over the place on this Monday morning, but I think it's just, I think actually these are the things that are really important to me. And all the warmongering and the politics, life is going to go on, man. The day after all this is done, we still have to deal with money, education, confusion. Back to the AI thing. Okay, I think the point, look how we ended up here. Your AI comment about, hey, they shouldn't do government, or who's going to be programming them, assumes that we already have the accurate data. And I'm just saying that none of the data that we have, the base understanding is incorrect. And we have human beings with limited intellect and apparently unlimited emotions that color the limited intellect. So I just look at it and go, oh, wow, 8 years. Could we have a machine do all this? Like, all you're doing is programming. Hey, we want a society that works efficiently. Here are the rules. Here's the laws. Here's what happens when you violate those rules and laws. And let's rock and roll. Oh, by the way, you can't have any favoritism. See, that's what I love about Bitcoin. It doesn't give a fuck if you own it or I own it, dude. Same price. You can't do anything more or less with it unless you choose to. I think that's really cool. No one can manufacture it. You know, I don't know who the Treasury Department from Mr. Trump's going to be, but I guarantee you they're going to print money, dude. And they should print money. And I would print money. I beg that they print money. Every Bitcoiner wants him to print money. And I know you're going to say, well, that's part of the fiat system. The fiat system needs to break, dude. And the only way it's going to break is if they keep doing what they've been doing. And they are going to keep doing what they've been doing because it's the only muscle they have. And I would absolutely go, burp, dude. Okay. For national security reasons, I would print. Now, I would print and do something else. But for national security reasons, I would get on this bandwagon so fast, it'd make your head swim, man.
Do you think AI will be better at predicting the weather than our current people are?
Well, hey, that's interesting, right? Now, very
Gorilla Time. Gorilla Time, by the way, he gave us $5 because he donated $250 twice. He said, "What's up, Gary, Sam?" And then Gary is a BTC Shark.
Thank you, buddy. He, by the way, he gave us £5 sterling.
Oh, that's right. Money. So that's even better.
No, that's euro. Yeah, it's real money. It's not real money, but it's more real than the US dollar. You know, it's interesting that you say that because I would have thought that with all these programs and computer simulations and Harvard and dude, every one of these guys missed this freaking storm barrel. We didn't notice it. It came out of nowhere. Poof, poof, Cat 5. And then it ends up in Houston. Like, I thought we had all this programming down, man. Yeah. So it's odd to me, right? Like they missed it by a mile. Well, more than a mile. Hey, you know, Gorilla Time just made me think of something. He said Gary is a BTC Shark now. I was watching a movie yesterday or the day before, and the comment was to a young lady, "Hey, you don't have any schooling in this. How would you know?" And her response is, "Sharks aren't trained to hunt."
That's a good
dude, comment. I thought sharks are born swimming and humping. And I thought that was like, whoa, that is an awesome alpha comment, dude. Hey, why would you say that I need training, dude? Sharks don't need training. She was basically calling herself a freaking predator without saying it. I thought it was an awesome response. So I like to think of myself more as an opportunist. I am definitely an opportunist right now, and it does feel quite sharky.
Are you looking at some of the comments? One lady said, "Are we saying print more money? Isn't that going to make inflation worse and increase groceries?"
Yeah, it will. But see, my point is that you have a heroin addict sitting on the hospital table, and there is no solution other than two. There's two solutions here for this junkie. And the economy is a junkie at this point. Total addicted junkie. Once you give it free dopamine, and that's what drives this valuation, then you have to keep doing it. So what else can they do? They can't. Like, this is it. This is the drug, okay? Because it was built on debt. Once you do this building on debt, you have to continue to expand it, okay? Especially when your construct, Wall Street's construct, we have a number of things going against us. First, every public company trying to compete on a global basis for the next 20 years reports every 3 months to 22-year-old kids on Wall Street about how their business is going in the short term. You ask any general on the planet if he wants to fight a battle and by exposing his position every 3 months to the entire world, okay, nobody's going to do that. Okay, it's fucking ridiculous that we're so bent on quarterly earnings for a stock price that we don't even let these companies think about 20, 30, 40 years out, right? So China won't have those problems, and other sovereigns will be thinking about their 30 years and not worried about their quarter. That's one issue. And I think that issue then starts to make people want to manipulate data. I think with Bitcoin, there's not going to be any quarterly earnings. Okay. There's not going to be a report. It's just going to be supply and demand. And it's at 55,800 right now. If somebody thinks that's too high of a price, they can sell the shit out of it. And if they think it's too cheap, they can buy it. Funny enough, as this price has come down, my brother pops on one of my TV shows the other day. He says, "Hey, how much would I move the market with 2,500 Bitcoin?" You know, he comes swinging in going, "Hey, I'm going to buy $150 million worth of Bitcoin." And it shocked him. Okay. Absolutely shocked him, because he was walking in trying to destabilize our little Bitcoin world. Like, "Gary, I'm going to move the market." And I'm like, "Bro, your 150 million is like pissing into an ocean. We do 50 billion a day." So he could literally have been, he could buy $150 million in 10 hours, not even touch the market, dude. You wouldn't even know he's there.
And that's certainly a way
that's
to
a healthy
maturity.
Market.
Yeah, that was good. That's a way to measure the maturity of the market, right?
Well, this is one of the questions is, hey, what's Germany doing? Well, what's Dell doing? What's Michael Saylor doing? These big players don't walk into this game and buy Bitcoin and just go, "Okay, I'm good." No, they buy Bitcoin, then they go sell $100 million to make sure they can get out. Getting into these markets is one thing. Getting out is a totally different thing. Okay, try to sell 1,000 Bitcoin at $72,000. Like
Germany currently holds 23,800 Bitcoin, worth 1.3 billion. Isn't that crazy? Imagine if they just held on to that.
Yeah, but see, this is a silly point, okay? Well, that's what they should do. The potential selling pressure equates to 5% of Bitcoin's 24-hour trading volume. Who cares? Well, gosh, the potential selling pressure of this equates to 100% of the hourly trading volume. Okay? Or does it represent 0.1% of the annual trading volume?
It's all arbitrary.
And otherwise, they also probably, just grab these coins, cost them nothing. Okay. They should be negotiating a deal outside the market, probably get a premium for it. Why are they going out of their way to being public about it? Anyway, who cares? Okay. Like, you guys are little girls, man. If you're worried about 5% of the Bitcoin shit coming in the market, like, we need to find out how much once this gets handled, we know what Satoshi can do, dude. Everybody's been freaked out about Satoshi coming back and dropping 1 million. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about it at all. I think actually we could use the volume. We could use the float. So, anybody out there worried? Anybody in the audience?
Original Classics.
You puking?
Original Classic says zero effect at all. From Germany. I was like, yep, that's a good point.
Zero effect, man.
Ray Stender, Bitcoin channel. He says, "I never leave a month without stacking more Bitcoin, no matter the price or the value. I've been buying Bitcoin since 2017, May of 2017. Have a plan for the next decade and stick to it."
Beast.
So that guy knows risk management, huh?
Best advice you've heard in the last hour.
Press ONeal.
Super chat. Follow him. Subscribe to his channel.
Press ONeal says, "Realistically, Gary, what do you think is the best plan for our national debt? Not just for 10 years out, but for 100 years out."
For our national debt?
Yes.
Our best plan? Wing it. Well, I mean, you understand. Who was that? What's the gentleman's name?
Press ONeal. Press ONeal.
Yeah, there is no solution to 38 trillion, guys. So when you start hearing people talk about, hey, how to solve the problem, this is not a solvable problem. It's 38 trillion. I very much encourage everyone to go write the number 38 trillion down. You will find it to be extremely difficult to do. It's impossible to do without commas, but go write it down. Everybody needs to write down the number 38 trillion. Is it 138 or 38?
38.
Yeah, 38 trillion, and then multiply the 38 trillion times 0.6%, 6%. Even that number is staggering. So what I would print the shit out of money. I mean, as soon as Trump gets in, I will beg for meetings to meet with him. He's going to print, and why not print while you're printing that 3-cent $100 bill? Why don't you take a bunch of it, print a bunch of them, and go buy Bitcoin with it? If I told you could buy Bitcoin for 3 cents, what would you do?
Buy a ton of it.
Oh, really? But why? I mean, it's stupid. It's you see what I'm saying though? It's like,
yeah.
Hey, sir, you can buy Bitcoin for 3 cents.
Off of your answer though, does that make you
think about that though? They're literally buying Bitcoin for 3 cents.
Does it make you skeptic?
I'm sure half the audience does not understand that. What? Buying it 3 cents? What are you talking about? Right? But when I pitch it to you that way, hey, if you could buy Bitcoin for 3 pennies right now, would you do it? Now right? You know the answer is
absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, there's only so many people I can go to and ask that question to that makes any relevance. Right? Like it's a non-question for Michael Saylor because he can never buy it for 3 cents. But who can buy it for 3 cents? The guy whose money costs 3 cents. The guy who can produce money for 3 cents can buy Bitcoin for 3 cents. Now, some people are going to go, oh, you could treat that. You could say that same for crude oil. Exactly. I totally agree with you, dude. We shouldn't need war to do this shit. Just buy it all. Okay. Go to Canada and buy Canada, buy all the resources. So anyway, to me, this is an easy pitch, dude. It would be an impossible pitch to the Biden administration because the Biden administration wants war. The Democrats, not the Biden administration, the Democrat administration, which I'm a big believer. Somebody asked me to support one of these crews the other day, RNC, DNC. I'm like, nah, we already got a big enough problem. Okay. We have a 2-party system. It's already too big of a problem. It's not going to work. We're basically have the biggest company in the world, dude. And we have a president and a CEO running the company. There's no board. Okay. We don't even know who the president is. But the CEO has a face. Well, we know who the president is, but we don't really know who the guy behind the curtain is driving. It's ridiculous. Okay. You would not have a company that says, hey, we're going to go to the board now. We have one guy on the red seat, one guy on the blue seat, and we're going to try to break a tie. Well, good luck. If you've ever been in a divorce and it's that polarized, nothing ever gets done. Okay. Like literally they will piss on each other just for the fun of it. And the more money they have and the less panic, the more insane they will be. This is why this does not get solved by Legacy. Legacy created this. So you got to let it collapse, dude. And the way you collapse it is, hey, burr. And it's a game theory now. Like Trump doesn't even need to be talked into this. I'll go talk some other sovereign into doing it. Like this would be a much shorter conversation in Russia.
Yeah.
If you get to the right guy, dude, this is just math here. Okay. Like, have you ever heard anybody go, hey, if you could buy Bitcoin for 3 cents, would you do it? All the smartest people, this is the way you got to pitch this, man. Because you can't say no to that, can you? 3 cents. Whoa, wow. Like you don't even need to think about Burr and the money printing thing. It's like it's zero risk for the United States.
Yep. Yeah.
None. And by the way, if we don't do it, one of the other ones will. And it only cost England 3 cents, by the way. 3 cents to make all those beautiful notes. Anybody disagree with me? Is it just too naive of a viewpoint? Or
no, I
are
think
these
they get
problems
it.
so severe that actually we have to get back to really basic, simple shit? I think we're at that point now. Hey, we need to get back to basics.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what it makes me think of is anytime someone tells me, especially a political politician, or if they're using it as a talking point, when they focus on the national debt, it makes me very skeptic. Makes me very skeptic because I know everybody knows there's no way we're paying this off. So when politicians make decisions,
I don't think they do know that.
Of,
I don't think they do know that because they haven't done the math. But when you do the math, when you write 38 trillion and you do the math, you're like, oh, wow, that's impossible.
Well, I think they do know that. I think they can't state publicly that they know that. I mean, it would upend a lot of their talking points if they were to just say, hey guys, so that debt thing we're always talking about cutting, we're giving up. We can't do anything about it. I don't know if a lot of Americans realize that it's an unsolvable problem.
That's my point. That's who I'm talking to. I could destroy half these politicians, dude. Like this is why they probably want it toxic so that guys like me don't go in politics. Like I would have zero problem debating any of these people on some of these subjects. None, dude. Like it's just like, wow, you guys are not even on the right topic. This is not even possible. Okay. 38 trillion. Okay. A number that, well, shit. Let me show you how big this number is. Okay. This is a staggering number. It's going to have to warm up. So, probably went off and didn't think about it having the light up. But you see what I'm saying, dude? This is silly. 38 trillion dollars. And that's what we should be talking to politicians right now and going, hey, it's not even really, but like, give me a plan. I need A, B, C, and D. This is what we're doing. We never hear that ever. Even in this last debate, it was about golf games. I really got to mess with that, dude. I was like, come on, bro. We know who can hit the ball more. This is where Trump goes off. Just like, anyway, I'm going to write this 38 trillion, then we can close out.
Yeah, let everybody understand. Yeah, I mean, some of the comments are, yeah, it's unfathomable. I'm like, yeah, it really is. I forget, what is it when you measure it by, when you turn a trillion into seconds? 1 trillion seconds. That exercise. Yeah, so 1 trillion seconds, guys, is 31,688 years ago. That's how big a trillion is.
Sam, say that number again.
1 trillion seconds is 31,688 years. That's insane, guys. Oh, Gary, can't hear you for some reason.
Sorry, how's this now?
Oh, that's way better.
Yeah. So 38,000, 38 million, 38 billion, 38 trillion. Okay. 38 trillion. And this is the debt. Okay. Interest rate. Let's use a 6% interest rate. that the U.S. government, just, you know, we don't need to get into all of it, but 38, that is 8, 8, 18, 22. Yeah. So that is 6% on that is 2. $2.208 2,000, 2 million, 2 billion, 2 trillion, 2.2 trillion per year. Okay, in interest alone. Sam, can you do 2.2 trillion divided by 365 days? Right? How much is that in interest?
I don't even know.
It's a lot of big numbers, okay? You get to a point. See, this number, this debt number, it's been doing this, right? And now we're at 38 trillion. When these numbers get this large, okay, right? You don't really see the deviations, but they're building on each other, okay? Every 6% is adding 2 trillion. So this is 40 trillion. And then it's 6% times 40, and then it's 44 trillion. These numbers are staggeringly large. 2.2, it's growing by 4 trillion a year. And we're just measuring the 2.28, this number right here, divided by 365 days is $6 billion per day in interest. $6 billion per day in interest.
That's insane.
It's psychotic, dude. Okay, when you say insane, it sounds, oh, it's psychotic. It's so far beyond insane. I mean, when you look at this, you're like, whoa, $6 billion a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's 10. So if they're going to do this, if you know they're going to have to print, they could pick up. What would they do? What would they do, dude, if they wanted to go and buy some Bitcoin for 3 cents a day for $6 billion?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they? By the way, what is the risk? What would the risk to the United States government be if they bought $2 trillion worth of Bitcoin?
None, as far as I can tell.
They're printing it anyway. They'd buy $2 trillion worth of Bitcoin at 3 cents, and then immediately be able to market. Now, it doesn't really work that way, but
yeah,
some sovereign will do this, by the way, and they're going to do it in spades. I actually think it's going to be a Middle Eastern, European, kind of in the middle of the crosshairs of all this shit going on in the East. And I think that could happen in the next year. So that's pretty exciting. It happens at some point.
If it's not happening covertly already.
Yeah, it most certainly is acting. It is most certainly being done covertly. I mean like a Turkey. See, I think Turkey is really well placed to do this because most of the people that come into Bitcoin, if you've noticed, had to. Most of the companies that are looking at Bitcoin had very few other chances. And you notice the people that have not come in don't need any other chances. They're already at the top of their game. It's the Michael Saylors who were looking around at the other guys at the top of their game, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, going, wow, I can't compete with these people anymore. I got inflation, and then I got these monster guerrilla competitors who seem to, what, Bowen just got fined how much money?
Oh, I saw that headline.
When is it that the U.S. government is going to stop sending fines to these monster companies and literally just put them in jail or take away the whole company. Like, this is ridiculous. This basically is telling me now that the bigger you get, if you can pay the fines by producing stock that you then sell to the idiot market, the consumer, and the FTC allows you to do it, and the SEC allows you to do it, then what is a fine worth? What is a penalty worth? Okay, what is any kind of regulatory enforcement worth whatsoever? This is ridiculous. It's basically like being in Italy or Louisiana in the 1910s. You know, pay off everybody and you're good. But Boeing's done it now with this second or third time. It doesn't make me comfortable flying in fucking airplanes. Does it make you comfortable if they're paying a big fine?
$243 million is their fine,
which I think is tiny. I mean, that's tiny for Boeing. I mean, go look at the last one the DOJ did on JP Morgan or Visa or MasterCard. I mean, they're staggering, dude. Billion here, billion there.
Yep.
So
all part of business.
Listen this way, okay? My message to the audience is don't be hoodwinked. When people start talking to you about the debt and having this debate, you should bring up, why are we wasting any time with this? This is not something that can be solved with math. This cannot be something that's solved by paying it back. You can't pay this back. That it's not possible to pay it back. There's only a few options. You wipe it out and start over, which no one wants to do, which is exactly the same solution for the junkie. The junkie either dies sooner or later, right? Or he goes into rehab. And if he goes into rehab, he has to suffer the pain for all his prior sins. And that can be 3 months or it could be 30 years. Okay, but like, he can't keep doing what he was doing. If he does any of the things that he was doing, he goes back to being a junkie. So it's either clean up completely, and that is not going to happen on anybody's political watch right now without a massive war or massive re-triggering of events that resets everything. People get religion. I mean, really get religion. So that's my view. That's why this ends up messy, because no one's willing to admit, hey, we need to like kill this patient. We need to kill the patient, go to the funeral, bury it, acknowledge all the people that were involved in this insanity. Like, you know, everybody was involved. Everybody becomes a part of the junkie problem, including me and you, right? We're funding part of this.
Yeah.
Now, you might, if you're a country, you might be able to sneak through it. If you're in America, you might be able to sneak through it if you like got really aggressive with putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet, reducing your war machine, and then taking and then looking at every business we have in the government and cutting cost. Go there and just whack it, man. You know, first off, you got to clean your own house. None of this gets fixed if you're continuing to employ. Look, we're 75% of the employment bill. The government is hiring the people, dude. 75% of the employment growth is from government. When was the last time a country did well with having all their employment come from government? Sam?
When was the last time?
What
was it? Would that be like the King of England?
There was never a time, bro.
No, yeah.
Never a time. So we can get all Freddy if we want over Bitcoin's price today. But I'm not buying Bitcoin for the price today under the current circumstances. I'm buying it for that number right there. Not sustainable, man.
Yep.
Not sustainable, not repayable, probably not solvable. And that's one country. This is such a myopic view That's not China. That is not Germany or the UK or China or Japan. Okay. I mean, just go down the list. There's one country. 38 trillion. All right, guys. Well, if you don't have anything else, Sam, I'm pretty sure that beyond the these guys are like, okay, what else? What else? We got any cool comments?
No, a lot of people agreeing with you. Some people were talking about how NVIDIA was just downgraded. Other people talking about how there's a lot of overlap between political ideologies and the debt being crazy. A lot of them, one guy said, and let me see if I can find it. He said, BTC is like a credit default swap for US. Yeah, BTC is a credit default swap on US treasuries. That's from Wade. I thought, oh, that was interesting. Yeah, doomed. Fibble Swami says, doomed eternally beyond triviality.
Yeah, well, I mean, but see, you know, the old story goes, hey, you owe the bank 10 grand. Who's got the problem?
You do.
You owe the bank $1 trillion. Who has the problem?
The bank.
And this has become so large now that it's not solvable. Okay, you got to look at the 38 trillion and go, come on, man. Let me do some general math. Problem with people is they don't do math. They just do not do math. And I may have gotten some of these numbers wrong. I hope I didn't. And you don't have to be precise on this. Okay, these numbers are so big, it's impossible. Especially when you start thinking, oh, wow, this is well beyond the U.S. Okay, this is not just one little, the whole thing. It's I think there's quadrillion dollars just hung up in the system. So how that gets fixed, I have no clue. I don't think it does get fixed. So, all right, buddy. Well, if you don't have anything else, I think we rock and roll. My particular view is that no, Biden will be in office. He won't leave office this week. I see these questions. Bitcoin is bottomed out here at 53 to 54, and the whole market, when it gets ready to run, assuming we don't go to war and have a nuclear event, which we probably do because it's 38 trillion and growing, but only thing that can fuck up this Bitcoin position is the U.S. government and the insanity going on here. So I encourage people to vote, get really interactive with other people, start speaking out, follow me, follow Sam, follow anybody here that's really active. And the reason you're following me is because when they get rid of me, when they try to silence me, it's going to be you guys that go, hey, that's not cool, dude. That guy wasn't doing anything wrong. So this is the reason, okay? Because I do expect to be shut down at some point. I think it has to end up there. The problem is too big. It's just, we're just so polarized. At some point, this needs to snap, and we need to have the decision. By the way, for you guys that think I'm Grant, I am not Grant. I am Grant's little baby brother, just trying to keep up. Grab a couple of his little cookie crumbs. Anything else, sir?
No, we are good, guys. Thank you. We'll see you on Twitter at 5 o'clock. We hope to see you there. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you tomorrow too.
See you guys. Have fun. Oh, and by the way,